I'm Mark Guerrero. Welcome to East LA Music Stories, episode number 4. And my guest is vocalist supreme, Geree Gonzalez, otherwise known as Geree, spelled Geree. Hi, Geree.
Hi, Mark.
Now, how did you
Hi.
come up with that spelling of Geree and that whole thing?
Uh, do you remember there was an old sitcom with this lady on there, Jackie?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I thought, oh, I like that. So I'm going to change it from Geri to Gree. And people ask me, well, why did you do that? And I said, because I can.
That's right. Why not?
I can. So, and I got my glasses on, so I look smarter.
Oh, yeah, that really does add a few points to your IQ. So you've had an incredible career, musical life, musical journey,
Yeah.
and just some brief bullet points before we get into everything in detail. In the 60s, you were part of the group of the Village Callers for a little while, very seminal East LA group. Then you were involved in the Si Se Puede album, which is very historic and on a cultural level. An album in tribute to and support of Cesar Chavez and the farm workers movement. And you recorded for MCA in the 80s, and in the 90s you sang with El Chicano and more and more. And there's lots of stuff, but those are some bullet points. But before we get into the beginning and your story, let's talk about the Grammy Museum event that we were just both a part of on
That was awesome.
April 13th, 2022.
Yes.
That was just about a month and a half ago.
Right.
It didn't just involve music of East LA, but it involved the Chicano culture, the Chicano movement. It was about the Chicano movement and the music. And that's why you were one of the perfect guests, because you were involved with the Si Se Puede album. And plus you've been a part of the musical landscape of East LA forever. Not forever. In fact, I've been in it longer than you, actually.
You're making me old.
I'm older than you. But tell me about the Grammy event and how it felt to you and what it meant for you.
Well, first of all, thank you for bringing me onto that panel. I have never, ever been involved in a panel to speak to anybody about anything.
I knew that you'd be good, though. I knew you'd be articulate. I knew you'd be scintillating. And your personality is scintillating, and I knew you were articulate and smart. So I thought you'd be great for that. Not to mention your pipes for the performance we did.
Well, it was extremely exciting for me to get involved in it, and I can't thank you enough for bringing me on.
My pleasure. You were perfect. You know. So how did you feel about it? Talk about the event itself. Talk about the panel discussion.
The panel discussion was extremely informative to me, because you and Willie were singing and playing in bands and music way before I even started.
Willie who?
Willie G.
Little Willie G.
Little Willie.
You gotta get the whole name.
Guillermo Garcia.
Original lead vocalist of the Midnighters.
From the Midnighters, right?
He was fantastic, perfect guest as well.
And what was exciting about that was him being on the panel for me, because he was a big inspiration to me too. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw him one time that my father let me go to the big union with some girlfriends. Of course, he took us and dropped us off and picked us up after, but I got to see the Midnighters there. One time he was singing, Willie G was singing, and I just went, wow, I want to do this. I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to sing.
You probably swooned a little bit too.
Well, I wasn't like I'm not one of those kind of.
You weren't like a little teeny bopper.
No, that wasn't me. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed he was entertaining, but the voice, his voice was so smooth like butter, you know, and so I was taken by that. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I really want to do this. I really want to, but I couldn't. And
At
I
that
don't
time,
know.
you couldn't, but getting back to the Grammys before we stray off
Yeah,
on too many tangents.
I know. I'm sorry.
So Willie G was on the panel, you, me, and manager, producer Art Brambilla kind of took care of the business side, but
Yeah.
also is the Chicano movement side. It was a nice panel.
Yeah, I met Art, I want to say in the mid 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
Because he came to listen to me sing by some reference from one of his nephews, Joey Brambilla, who knew my ex-husband. Okay. And they were good friends. And so he came, and that's when he started talking to me about wanting to record. Would I be interested in doing some stuff, some recordings with his label, so on and so forth.
But so that made up the panel, and it was really wonderful because here we were, four Chicanos talking about our musical career and things that happened to us in the business, and we were able to talk about it at the Grammy Museum and talk about the sort of the injustices and the things that we had to go through. For example, when you were with MCA, you got to say that at this event that they said that you didn't sound white enough and you didn't sound black enough.
Right.
So that kind of thing. And in my case, it was Capitol Records wanted me to change my last name, which I refused to do.
Right.
And they also asked, well, why is this Chicano or this Mexican singing country rock? They couldn't understand that maybe I was an American too. So anyway, we got to voice some of that, talk about the movement at that venue. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And the audience and their questions, they were very sweet people that attended. And then when we got to perform, that was even better, because that's what we do, right? That's what I do. I sing.
That little show went pretty smoothly, amazing.
Yeah. The backup for Mijita was fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so Mijita, she sang, you sang. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the audience.
Hello. Yeah.
But I wrote a song that you recorded in the 90s. I wrote a song called Mijito, which became Mijita for you. And you got to perform it there, and I backed you on guitar. So that was a wonderful moment. And then you sang Art Brambilla's song, Mañana es Now, with the trio Los Dados backing you.
Yes.
And then they backed me on my dad's El Chicano, a Chicano pride song. And Willie G started the show with two great songs that he wrote, original songs that were, about the culture and about East LA. He could have sung some Midnighter songs. People would have loved to hear that, but he correctly chose to do songs that were really good, that really fit this event, and people loved it,
Yeah, it was great.
And of course, giving a plug, Bobby Robles backed him up on acoustic. Willie was on acoustic. And when I played my song, I'm Brown, I was backed by John Valenzuela on guitar, who was on the original recording. And by the way, my record and song, I'm Brown, was in the Grammy Museum at the time in an exhibit called Songs of Conscience, Sounds of Freedom. So it was just an amazing opportunity for East LA to take over the Grammy Museum, talk about our ups and downs and the trials and tribulations we went through, and the great things, and then to perform there and kick butt, and the people couldn't have had a better time and been more happy.
I just tell you, it was, and the people that came that were some of my friends, they're still raving about it. Still raving about it. They loved it. They were very pleased that they got to go. So
yeah, it was historic, and as time goes on, it'll seem more so. But yeah, and the curator was so happy with it. He keeps saying that he wants to do more, and hopefully there'll be more of Chicano rock and East LA music at the Grammys.
So it opened a door.
Yes.
That whole day opened a door for maybe some future stuff. So that's good. Yeah. Hello.
So who are some of your other influences?
Okay. Let's see, Vicky Carr, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Barbra Streisand, Edie Gourmet, And then real early on, I was a little girl. This woman walked into our house on 73rd Street. I had no idea who she was or anything like that. But she was a star in Mexico. Everybody thought she was from Mexico, but she wasn't. She was from Texas. So she knew my older brother. Came by the house because she was going to get ready to go and perform at the $1 Million. She walks in and her hair is slicked back. I remember these details, you know, real tall. Well, everybody was taller than me because I was a little girl. But my mother asked her if she would sing this one song from her album called Celosa. And she started singing it a cappella, you know, and oh my God, Mark, I want to cry.
And what was her name?
Eva Garza. And I cannot find her album anywhere. I've searched and searched. I had a copy of the vinyl, and through some of my moves, I don't know where it's at right now, unless it's in storage that my son has, but she was fabulous.
So roughly how old are you when that happened?
I had to be about 7, 8 years old, something like that. My parents used to take me to the $1 Million with them to go and see the variedades, you know, and I did go with them that night to go and see her perform. And there she was walking out on the stage, real elegant. And I remember she had like a gold lame tight fitting dress, her hair slicked back really tight in a ponytail, big aretes, you know, just fabulous. She was gorgeous. And her voice was to die for.
Ooh, quite an inspiration.
Yeah. And the other, you know, I mentioned Vicky Carr. I had met her. I met her at a fiesta at the California Country Club. It was put on by Los Hambriados and Las Embajadoras. It's a club that used to raise money for an orphanage in Tijuana. And I was singing with Chico at the time. And we had already been playing. We started playing a song by Vicky Carr called Y Volveré. And who's walking from the parking lot to this fiesta but Vicky Carr? And she was standing in the back, and I saw her and I went, oh crap, I'm singing her song. And so afterwards I got to meet her. We talked. She loved what I did. She complimented me. So that was a big plus. I was afraid that she was going to dish me or something or other, but she was very gracious and very sweet. Yeah. And that was the beginning. Let me tell you, that was the beginning of doing commercials. Because at the same event, I met a man named Ernesto Cervera. He approached me and wanted to know if I would be interested in doing radio commercials for Spanish radio. And I said, well, I'm not a member of AFTRA. He says, don't worry about it. I'll get you on with the Taft-Hartley. You know, we'll work it out. So I started doing commercials with him, singing with Isela Sotelo. Some people know her.
I know her.
Yes. And doing stuff for McDonald's. They flew us to Chicago to do 30-second, 60-second commercials for McDonald's. Wow. Chicago.
And
for the day.
And this all started like late 70s, right?
Yes. And it continued until almost the 90s.
Those can pay pretty nicely too.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Yeah. So that was fun.
So now let's go back all the way back in time to your beginnings. Even though you have this incredible East LA presence, you actually grew up in South Central like little Willie G did.
Yes, I did. Florence and Central. That's where I grew up, where the old blimp was.
The old blimp. Who was she?
Not that one. It was the other one.
One of those real flew in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, the Goodyear blimp.
Okay.
And yeah, I grew up between Florence, well, between Central and Avalon on 73rd Street. And it was a block, it was like a block away from Florence Avenue. And I went to 79th Street School, where my kindergarten teacher, that's where I went to kindergarten.
Yes.
My kindergarten teacher spoke to my mother and said, because we used to sing along and do this, that, and the other in kindergarten. I don't know if you remember your kindergarten class or not, but
I do. Miss
we
Hudson.
played.
Miss Hudson at Humphreys Avenue School, yes.
Oh, okay. We played and whatnot. We learned this, we learned that, but we sang. And for some reason, I guess my voice stood out to the teacher. And she had my mother, she called my mother in and said, Mrs. Gonzalez, you need to maybe get her some training. So I took lessons. They got me signed with a lady that lived in Florencia. And I went over to her house and she listened to what I had to sing. And I did scales and stuff like that. But her main focus was on teaching me how to memorize the lyrics, you know, and I recorded with her back in the day, you know, what, 5, 6 years old, something like that. And it was this weird machine, and it was, the vinyl was smaller than a 78, but larger than a 45. Okay, so I don't know what size that was. And the recording started from the middle and would go out towards the edge. So I sang a song, Playmate. Playmate, come out and play with me. La, 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 la. And then another song on the other side was a tribute to my brother, my oldest brother, Sonny, because it was his birthday coming up. So my mother says, you got to sing a song for Sonny, got to sing a song for Sonny. So I did, and that was Tweedly Tweedly Dee. Who recorded that? Do you
talking
remember?
about Rockin' Robin?
No, Tweedly Tweedly Dee.
That was that, because remember that started Tweedly Dilly Dee, Tweedly Dilly
No,
Dee?
not that one. Tweedly 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 Dee.
Oh, yeah.
I'm as lucky as can be.
I remember that.
I don't remember who recorded it originally.
I don't either.
But anyway, so, and I remember listening back to it later on. I was already, I don't know, I was already a teenager, older, something like that. And I'll be doggone if I wasn't in pitch. You know, I wasn't sharp, I wasn't flat. You know, it was like, cheer. I was so happy. It was,
And you're still like that.
well, I try to be.
Mhm.
A lot of experiences has come through from then, but my parents they encouraged me, you know, early on, you know, and I would take the broomstick outside in the backyard and pretend that that was my microphone, you know, and I'm doing all the moves and everything, you know, and then all of a sudden I had tonsillitis. And from that point, it was, my father prohibited, he did not want me singing anything anymore.
Because he blamed the tonsils on the singing.
Yeah. Okay, so since my father wouldn't let me sing anymore, the only way I could sing was if I did stuff at the elementary school, which was then I went to St. Malachy's School in South Central. And I would sing in the choir. I learned to play the piano. I took piano lessons from the 3rd grade on. And then the piano teacher started to have choirs and whatnot. So anywhere that I could sing, I would sing, right? You know, and my father still wasn't real happy with it, but it was okay. My mother just told him, yeah. You know, it's okay, it's okay. And then I started walking to school with one of my neighbors, this Black girl, Phyllis Davis. She was a good friend of mine. And she would start singing, Mama didn't lie, she didn't lie. And then I would come in, I heard Mama didn't lie. So actually I was harmonizing with her and I didn't even know it, but it sounded good, right? So we'd go to school, we'd come back, and she was actually the one that wanted to get involved in all of these singing competitions there, I think at Fremont High School. Because we lived close by to Fremont. And but I don't know what she did after that. After St. Malachy's, I still played the piano. I went on to go to school at St. Matthias High School in Huntington Park. We moved from South Central, from Florence and Central to Huntington Park, uptown. Yep. And I had a quinceañera. Oh, and check this out. I didn't tell you about that. I got to tell you about my quinceañera. It was very exciting. So I hired this band that was from El Sereno, Joey and the Medallions. I don't know who played with them. I don't know the names of the players or not. But then all of a sudden, these guys walked in with these really bright, sparkly green jackets. Guess who that was?
Who?
Cannibal and the Headhunters.
Wow.
They came to my quinceañera and they performed.
Were they already called Cannibal and the Headhunters at the time?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah. And so everybody was like, wow, Geree. And I didn't even know they were going to be there. They didn't know they were going to be there. They knew the guys from the band and they told them, oh, we're gigging at this, blah, 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 blah. And so they just showed up.
In uniform.
In uniform. And they're doing Land of a Thousand Dances. And oh my God, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And my brother had paid for the band. One of my brothers had paid for the band, right? And he goes, do I have to pay for them too? It was so fun. We had a blast. It was a fun time. It was exciting. And of course, you know, if you turn the lights off in the hall, my father went to where the light switch was and turned the lights back on. ¿Quién hizo eso? You know, he was so strict. Oh, my dad was so strict. I love him, but he was so strict.
We did talk about the Huntington Park Ballroom was there, which was an East LA venue, part of the circuit. I played there at least once or twice, and a lot of the East LA bands played there. You said you might have gone there just once because your dad was so strict.
I think I went there one time with some girlfriends that my dad took us, dropped us off, picked us up. You know, we had to walk upstairs to where the ballroom was. And I think the Midnighters were playing again. I saw them there again. And that was exciting, you know, got to dance and everything. And I just knew that this is what I wanted to do, Mark. I really wanted to get involved with music.
But because your dad was so strict, that's why you kind of joined the party a little bit late in the 60s, right? You might have been in earlier.
I was about, I want to say I was about 19 years old already, you know. I was almost an adult.
So this was like, what, 68, 69 that you started playing with the Village Callers?
No, I started singing with that Happy Few first. That was from East LA College, going there.
So you went from Huntington Beach. Did you go to East LA College while you were living in Huntington Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you met the Happy Few.
That Happy Few, the Happy Bunch.
How'd that happen?
Sitting in the lounge in between classes and talking with some friends, and some of the girls that I knew from St. Matthias were going to East LA. And this girl says, it was real popular with the Village Callers at that point, right? And they had a female singer, right? Angie Bell, badass. And so I don't know, my girlfriend says, oh, well, Geree and I are going to go and audition for your band. And my father had passed away a few years before, right? And so I said, well, I don't know if I can do that. And she says, well, why not? You know, because she could do whatever she wanted to do. And I said, well, I have to ask my mother, you know, that's the way I was raised, you know. So I went home and I told my mom that these guys wanted us to audition for their band and blah, 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 blah. And she told me, she says, well, how do you know you can sing? And I looked at her and I thought, oh, well, how do I know I can't? And she said, okay, you got me. I'll go with you to the audition. Because she didn't know these boys. She didn't know who their parents were. None of that, you know. It's just a very strict home. Very
And this
strict.
is you're talking about that Happy Few right now, right?
Yes.
Audition. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So the first song that we did to audition, well, actually the only song I knew all the lyrics to was That's All. Hello.
Talking about the Midnighters.
Thank you, Willie G. And so we both sang that, and I got the gig. My first gig paid me $5.
I recall those days.
Woohoo! You know,
Yeah.
and we had matching dresses and whatnot, you know, that my mother made for us. You know, then she was on board with everything, but she was still a little skeptical, you know. She didn't know who these people were and all that stuff. So, and then shortly after that was when I got a phone call from Hector Rivera.
Oh. The manager of the Village Callers.
The manager of the Village Callers, wanting me to go and audition for the Village Callers. So there I go with my mother. We sat there, and then they asked me to sing Sabor a Mi, so I did. And they thought at first, this is going to be difficult because if she has to bring her mom to everything, right? You know, that I was going to be a problem. Right. And so who told me that just recently was Johnny Gonzalez, the keyboard player. He says, yeah, we thought that was going to be a hassle, you know, because your mom had to go with you. And but I got hired on the spot. But little did I know that I was only a temporary singer for them. They didn't tell me that.
Until Angie came back.
Until Angie came back. So when Angie did come back, then they moved me to another group called The Organized Set. So I'll fast forward real quick because the couple of the members from The Organized Set are musicians that I am working with right now.
Oh, wow. So.
Armando Romo and Frankie Martinez. And so anyway, so I started singing with them, and they had more horns, you know, in the group: trumpet, trombone, sax.
I did want to add before we get off the Village Callers, for God's sakes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They were a very important seminal group of the East LA groups, because I'm almost sure that they were the first East LA band to bring in the Latin percussion, timbales, congas, and really Latinize. You know, they did that, I don't know what, 67, 68, I don't know what it was, but they were early on.
They started
before Santana, before Malo, before all that stuff came out.
Yeah, they were cool.
They were a very good band, very popular. And they had this long running gig at the Plush Bunny.
Yeah, I got
was
to
that
sing
Pico,
there.
Pico Rivera?
It's Pico Rivera.
Pico Rivera.
Close to Montebello.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was part of the East Side scene as a musician and as a person. And I heard about that place. It was a happening place. I heard about the Village Callers, but I never actually went there. I was usually playing or whatever. I never got there, so I never did witness it. But it was a happening place and a happening band at the time.
Did you know that at the Plush Bunny that they had a section in the back where if you were under 21, you could sit there?
Oh, nice.
You had to have a certain wristband, but if you were under 21, you could sit back there. So some of my cousins would come, and they were younger, you know, and actually I had my 21st birthday when we were playing there. I was back with the Village Callers then. And that was a lot of fun, you know, but that's what happened.
We should also mention that they made some records, and they made a live album at the Plush Bunny.
They did. I wasn't with them then.
But they did a version of Evil Ways with a rock guitar, rock style, before Santana did. Yeah. And of course, it was originally, was it a Mongo Santa Maria song? It was some Latin artist. I think it was him. I'm not positive, but He did it first, but it was the Village Callers that first rocked it out. They did the Latin thing, but they threw in the lead guitar, and there is a rumor out there, it can't be proven, but it's been said that record did get some airplay up in the Bay Area. Carlos Santana might have heard it, but that's a good idea, and did his version, and that blew up his group.
Right.
And that
I know.
Woodstock after that, and the rest is history. But hey, they thought of that first, I believe.
Yeah,
that
it
seems
was
to
the
be
Village
case.
Callers. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course their manager Hector Rivera. They wrote an instrumental called Hector in his honor, right?
Right.
Hector. And they made fun of him. They made fun of him in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
And Hector's still around. He's still around. So we'll have to get him to come and talk to you.
Yeah, he's a Facebook friend, and I've never really spoken to him or communicated with him other than just, thumbs up and comments maybe. But yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's the Village Callers. Give them their due props, right? Then the organized set, and then Poverty Train came along, right?
Poverty Train came along after the Village Callers. There were some member changes. The drummer had left with Angie. They went to form another group. I can't remember which group. The bass player, Joe, went to go play with Sal Chico.
Joe Espinosa.
Yes, Joe Espinosa. And then other players came in. Charles Sarcita was the bass player at that point, who moved down to LA from Delano. He used to play with Little Ray. And so then the whole thing of the music, it started to change a little bit, and it was still good. It was really good, great band. And then we made sure we had a 3-piece horn section. There was Dino on trombone, Michael Mercado on trumpet, and Fuzzy Martinez on sax. And that was Poverty Train. And, going back and forth to Hawaii, that was our trip. It was a fun trip. Let me tell you, that was part of it. Bobby Figueroa played drums.
Who later went on to play with the Beach Boys for many years.
Exactly. And then we had a keyboard player too. Besides Johnny left, I can't remember what year, but he was gone. And then we had Carly Munoz, who is now, he's an owner of a bistro in Puerto Rico, in San Juan. And I forget who was on guitar. We had so many different guitar players, but we had several. And we ended up playing this one year, I can't remember the year, 72 maybe, 71, 72, the Crater Festival there in Hawaii, right? And who was on stage too was Buddy Miles and Carlos Santana, right? So later on that night, the guys were feeling no pain, I'll tell you that right now. They were feeling good. They were feeling good. And we had to go to our gig. We were playing at this place called the Lemon Tree. It's not there anymore.
So you were part of the big festival too?
Oh, yeah.
And then you played some nightclub afterwards.
Oh, yeah. We were there to play at our gig at the Lemon Tree, but we were invited to play at the Crater Festival.
Nice.
Right. So we did that. That night, Buddy Miles comes in with Carlos Santana, and they sit in with our band.
Pretty cool.
And it was pretty interesting. They kick butt. Me being a vocalist, though, I'll have to say very honestly, I was a little bored because, after 10 minutes of a guitar solo, it's a little bit much for me. And it went on for maybe a half an hour.
On and on and on.
Yeah. And it was okay, but whatever. It was interesting, and it was fun. And the guys had a blast. We all had a blast.
They were feeling no pain. I mean, you were probably sober as a judge, right?
No, I wasn't a santita, but I was good that day.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. You know, I won't say anything else after that. But
Okay.
also while we were in Hawaii, we had a visit from Don Ho and his entourage.
Mm.
They closed the club. He sat in the back and with all of his people. And we went to go and talk to him after our set. And he thought I was a local chick. Ah, you local chick. And I said, no, I'm from the mainland. He goes, no, no.
He probably thought you were Hawaiian, right?
Yeah, because I was real tan.
Oh, you could
I
pass.
was real tan, you know, and so, but you know, I said, no, I'm from the mainland. And so he invited us to his show. He invited me up to sing with his band.
Mm.
And so I got to sing with his band. I don't remember what song it was, but we had a blast.
And what island was that?
Oahu.
Because I know you played in Kona too, right? On the Big Island?
That was later with Fantasia.
Okay, all right.
That was later
It's the
on.
next chapter.
Yes, next chapter. So what else? Yeah, so we made lots of friends there in Oahu, and everybody invited us for this, invited us for that. We became part of their, what they call ohana, you know, their family. So, and as a matter of fact, one of the bouncers there at this Lemon Tree Club, big Samoan dude, you know, he would yell from the door up to the stage, Geree, sing that song for me. I go, what song? What's the matter me? You know, sabor a mi.
What's the matter me?
What's the matter me?
How's Italian?
Yeah, and we loved him. We loved him. And I'm not sure if he's around anymore or not, but he took care of us. He took care of me, you know. If anybody bothered me, he, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think you said something that I think you said that the that band, which we're talking about, which
Poverty Train?
the Poverty Train actually did record, but it was never released. Wasn't that it?
No, it wasn't. They recorded with a producer named Hadley Morell. I don't remember what label or what studios. It was in Hollywood. We did Blackbird
By the Beatles.
by the Beatles. Bobby sang that. We also did our rendition of I Want to Take You Higher.
Mm-hmm. Sly and the Family Stone.
Shakalaka, boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka. With the horns, you know, they did their own horn stuff. They created their horn lines. Very, very nice recording, but nothing happened with it. And Ike and Tina Turner got wind of it, and they heard it, and then they recorded it, and they took it
Higher.
Yeah, higher. And so that was through the production of producer Hadley Morell.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of paid off later in the story.
It did.
For you.
It did. I went to, I used to go on the road with Fantasia. We would play here, we would play there, because Fantasia was part of Poverty Train. There were no clubs in town that would pay for an 8-9 piece band.
In LA, you're talking about now.
In LA, and actually anywhere at that point, things were getting weird. So, so we had to eliminate the horn section, which was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking. You know, I loved working with those guys. They were crazy, but they were good, you know. Nothing ever sounded the same night after night. I wonder why. I think they maybe they knew Snoop. I don't know.
I got it, yeah.
Get it?
I
So
get it.
okay, so anyway, Fantasia. We were playing in Hawaii again in Kona, in Hilo, these hotels, and then one time we were playing up in Sacramento, and at that point, I was tired. I had already had my son, my oldest son, and I was missing him. You know, I was missing my home life. And I kept thinking, you know what? I had talking with myself, and I said that if I'm going to be on the road, I'd like to be on the road playing original music, not top 40. I was sick of top 40 already. I had it, and I gave my notice there in Sacramento, and they weren't very happy with me, but I finished the gig, came home, and that was it. Then I started working with Joe Espinosa again and Chico, and I did a long time.
And by then Chico had a lot of other members from Village Colors like Fuzzy Martinez.
Fuzzy was playing with them. Ernie Hernandez was playing with them. I'm not sure if Johnny was. He might have been here and there. He got more into his classical music. Excellent keyboardist. Plays the heck out of the Hammond. And
Chico's still together today, and Joe Espinosa is
still
leading
together. Yes. Yes.
So you played with Chico, and that eventually you got in touch with Hadley again. How'd that happen?
I got in touch with Hadley again after I came back from the road with Fantasia. And I said, Hadley, I'm getting serious now. I want to record. I want to do something. Can you help me? Heck yeah. So he got me some music. This song called I Can't Stop the Rain. Mm-hmm. And some other songs that he had for me, writers that were writing for me, basically. Mm-hmm. He wrote some songs, mm-hmm. and that's from the album Jerry Logan, Come and Get It. Mm-hmm. That was done in 82.
So we must say at this point, Logan came, that was your married name at the time.
That was my married name, yeah.
That's why I first heard of you as Jerry Logan. So I thought you were an Anglo at first.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's why MCA wasn't sure what I was.
Yeah, what is she?
Because they said that I sounded soulful, but I wasn't black, right?
So you had a white name, you didn't sound black, but you were brown. It was very confusing.
And then the pop stuff, I sounded poppy enough, but I wasn't white enough.
Right. But you were very R&B. You sounded pretty damn R&B. But to them, I guess it wasn't black enough. I mean, that's crazy.
I like my rhythm and blues. I do. I still do. And anyway, so we had a parting of the ways. And a year later, ta-da, they knew what to do with the Latina. They signed the Miami Sound Machine with Gloria Estefan.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk a little bit about the album itself. I'm sure it was a good album, and you had some good songs, and you recorded in some big time studios. I mean, it was a big time MCA Records.
MCA Records. Hold on a second. Let me get this thing off of here, and I'll read some of it to you. We recorded at Footprint Sounds, and it was mastered at MCA Whitney with Steve Hall. He did the mastering of it, but all of the production was done by Hadley. He produced it.
And you had some big time studio musicians playing?
Oh yeah, let me tell you. On bass, I had two bass players that did this. Welton Geit and Ricky Minor. Mm-hmm. You know who Ricky Minor is?
No, I haven't heard him.
Okay, he used to play, or he still does. I don't know. I think he still plays for American Idol.
Oh,
he's a bass player for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Werner Sugar Bear. He played guitar. Alex Weir played guitar. Hiroshi Upshur played keyboards and clavinet and synthesizers. So you'll hear all that stuff too. Oh, yeah. Ricky Heath, he played percussion, and another guitar player, Jewett Bostick. And then on the horns, because there were some horns, it was called Love It. That's what they were called. Love It.
Show the cover.
Ta-da!
Look at that. Hold it still. Look at that. Look at that babe. Woo. Nice.
One of these pictures, everybody used to tell me, "Oh, you kind of look like Rita Moreno," and I went, "Really? Really?"
Yeah.
You know. So
Or
anyway,
like a Chicana. What's her name? Let's Get Physical. What was her name?
oh
Olivia
yeah,
Newton-John.
because of the
Yeah.
silly.
Yes.
I don't know why they did that to me, but they did that to me. You know.
That was
But
happening in the 80s,
yeah, yeah. So that was that, and but I went on to continue do stuff with Hadley to the point where he took me on the road to South Korea,
Hmm.
and this is who I sang with. I don't know if you can see that.
Closer. Hold on.
It's
Who is it?
it's Roger Clinton,
Oh,
Tim's brother.
he was a wild man.
Yeah, good singer.
He really.
Yeah, soulful. And so that was fun.
Bill Clinton's brother.
Yep.
And Bill played a little sax.
Yeah, Bill didn't join us though. But I could, there was so much security around the group.
Oh, because Bill was president at that time?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was a good boy. Roger was a good boy, and we were waiting to do a sound check at this one venue. And some of the workers were finishing up the stage. They're all Korean, right? And they're walking by, and we're all sitting there in a row. Roger's here, I'm sitting here, and the rest of the band is over here. And they're going, "Oh, American, 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 American." I wasn't a Mexican American.
Right.
The players were not African American.
Yeah. Yes, that's what we find out. Times I'm in England, when I'm in England, oh, he's an American. Nobody says Mexican American.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was an interesting trip.
Yeah. Yeah, well, fantastic. So then how did you get hooked up with El Chicano in the 90s? It was Bobby Espinosa's El Chicano at the time.
I was singing with Chico, and the manager for Tierra, George Aguilar, he called me and said that would I like to join the Latin Legends 25th anniversary. It was El Chicano's 25th anniversary. And I said, oh, sure, as long as it didn't conflict too much with what I was doing with Chico. So I started, and I did, a couple of years with them, going on the road and doing some of their gigs here, there. So shared the stage with War, with Malo, with Tierra. Steve Salas was singing with El Chicano and me. And boy, what a hoot. We had a blast.
And you and Steve Salas, he just passed away very recently, a few months ago, RIP. You did at least that one great duet with him. Was it Dame Tu Amor?
Yep.
Great recording.
Yep. Dame Tu Amor. That was done in, when was that done? I can't remember.
Whose album did that come out on? Was it on his album and your album?
No, it was on my album, but later on. This single, or it was actually in English and in Spanish. The English version was a guy named Devin Maldonado who sang with me, the English version, but he couldn't sing in Spanish. So we thought, well, who? Steve, let's get Steve. He'll come, he'll do it. And so he did, and the harmonies, the blend, taking a breath in between whatever, we would do it at the same time. How, I don't know, but we just did.
Sounded beautiful.
And even on the Si Se Puede album, they backed me up on Mañana Es Now. And it was him and his brother, Rudy.
That was way back in 76. In fact, we skipped that. We're going to have to go back in time.
Oops, sorry.
Let's go. So yes, so that's when you and Steve had a wonderful chemistry, and which brings up, before we get back to Si Se Puede, and since we're in the 90s, let's talk about our karaoke experience. So you and who came down? You and Steve and George Ochoa came to
Yeah.
Palm Springs.
Yeah.
And I joined you guys. I don't know if you came to my gig or not that night. I don't remember. Or if I was working that night. I don't remember.
I don't think you were. We
Yeah.
had a meeting with you.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then we afterwards.
I think maybe Art Brambilla was there.
Was he? Yeah, I think so.
He might have been.
Oh, definitely. I think he took the picture, the famous
Yeah.
photo.
Yes.
So we went down to this karaoke place. This was in the evening. We wanted something to do. There was a karaoke place in downtown Palm Springs. And so all these people are going up, all these amateurs are going up and singing. And so Geree goes up there and sings, "What's it all about, Alfie?" And just people are like, their heads are exploding, it's just totally world-class vocal. And then she went on to do another song, and Steve Salas, George Ochoa, and I went up and became your pips.
Yep.
Your background singers.
You guys
I forgot, it was some R&B song. Was it Chain, Chain, Chain?
I think it was Chain of Fools. Yeah.
Chain of Fools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And so we were all pipped out, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. And Art took some pictures, and on my website, markguerrero.com, you'll find that photo.
Mhm.
It's a great photo of me, Steve, and George backing up Geree in a karaoke bar. So that was pretty fun.
Good times.
Yes.
Good.
So now let's turn the clock back to 1976. Art
Okay.
Brambilla had made a deal with A&M Records. Herb Alpert gave him studio time to do this album in support of Cesar Chavez and the farm workers movement and union.
Mhm.
And by then, Art and I had a falling out. Art and I had worked together on a couple of label deals, and we had a falling out. And so I wasn't involved in that at that time. And he got Steve and Rudy Salas. He got guys from Los Lobos to play.
Yes.
You, Carmen Moreno, another female singer,
Mhm.
and put together this album called Si Se Puede, with a lot of great songs, some originals, some covers, I believe. And it's a great album, and it's very historic, and it lives on to this day. So how did you get involved with it?
He asked me if I would be interested in singing this song, Mañana is Now. He was writing it. He wrote it himself. And I remember going to his apartment, and Los Lobos were there in his living room, and we'd sit there and just start working it out. And then Rudy and Stevie ended up doing the background vocals on it, which turned out beautiful. And that's what happened. I was a new mom.
Mm-hmm.
I was a new mom. And so I'm not sure the month that this came out, but my son was born in July of that year. And so there's a picture even where this gentleman is interviewing me for this project. And I've got my son on the side in his little baby carrier, but I think they cut him out from the. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, right? All those years later, this year, you performed Mañana is Now at the Grammy Museum with Art there and me there. And we got to do it again all these years later.
Yeah. And even at some of the gigs that I'm doing now with the current band, people are asking me, are you going to sing Mañana is Now? Are you going to sing Mijita? So I've got to get the guys on board to.
Yes. Well, now let's talk about Mijita, because now we're in the 90s. Let's go back to the 90s.
Okay.
So in 97, I believe, you recorded one of my songs called Mijita. I wrote it as Mijito. I wrote it in tribute to my mother, who was a very supportive, loving woman and encouraging. And it was a thank you to my mom for all of that. And you liked the song, and of course had to be feminized to Mijita.
Right.
And you recorded a great version of it on your album and EP at the time in 97. And it's a fantastic version. I think you had a couple of members of El Chicano in the band on it. And
the conga player, Tony Rosa, he played on it. And yeah, he played congas. I'm reading the credits right now. And George Lopez, he was the bass player at the time. And then the background vocals are the guys from Down with Three, Eric and Billy Mondragon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that guy Schwaggart, or what was his name?
Jim Schwaggart, he did most of the programming and arrangement.
Yeah, great. I love the version, and your vocal is incredible. I'm so proud of that version of it.
And a guitar player by the name of Mario Delgado. He still plays currently. He plays in town. He played the guitar parts on that. But Eric, Billy, and myself, we did all the backgrounds on the song. You know,
Once again, we got to perform it at the Grammy Museum. We also performed it together at Cal State LA in 2013. Remember when you did my concert?
Right.
And I backed you on it there. And Ernie, I think Ernie was on there with me. I don't know.
Yeah, he was.
Well, he was with us on a few songs, but I think it was just you and me on Mijita.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also did it live with El Chicano when you played with El Chicano, which I was happy with.
Exactly.
I have one live version of it that I'm going to send you still.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm very proud that you did it, and what a great version. It's world class, you know.
My mother loved it. My mother got to hear it before she died.
That's great.
So thank you for writing such a great song.
You're very welcome. So what would happen? What's going on next here? I think we pretty much came up to the present, huh?
Pretty much. I wanted to kind of give a shout out to my old producer, Hadley.
What was his full name?
Hadley Murrell,
Okay.
Murrell, Murrell.
Mhm.
And he's from Tucson, Arizona. He used to be a radio disc jockey over there. What did they call him? Gosh, I can't think of it now. I have Hadley who loves you madly, kind of a thing. You know, he was fun. He's still around, and he put this CD out. It's called Divas Without Diamonds.
Are you on that?
So, yes, he's got me all over the place here. I'm singing a couple of songs from Poverty Train that we did back.
You finally got out then.
Yeah, and then this one song that was written by Jeff Dean. He was the trombone player for Poverty Train, called The First Time. So we did that. We recorded that, and he's just got me all over the place. Honey Do Man. Oh, there's a bunch of songs on here, but he's always trying to do something with me vocally. You know, he's always been, I guess, what you would call a big fan, and so I appreciate that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, then a few weeks after the Grammys, you and I performed with Greg Esparza at Cal State LA, my alma mater.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And we got to do Mañana es Now, Mijita, I'm Brown, a lot of the same songs we did at the Grammys.
Yeah.
Outside. And then afterwards I went to a classroom, but you didn't go to the classroom.
No, I didn't go to the classroom.
But it was a great day. It was fun.
Yeah. I got there super early. It was, you know, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to me, right? You know, with parking. And so I had to park over there, and then I had to move my car. I said, no, you got to park over here. Okay, so I got to park over here. No, I can't park there. Then I got to park somewhere else. So your videographer, Tony, he helped me find a location to park. And I'm going to see him on the 12th.
Good.
Yeah.
You're playing, what's that place you're playing?
We're playing at Tepeyac Tequila Sports Bar and Grill in City of Industry on Crossroads.
The name of your new group is?
Ace Plata.
Okay. Cool.
ACE and Plata. And the leader is Armando Romo. It's his group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So it's because of the Grammy thing, we kind of have like a little act now. We have a show. You know, hopefully we could do it some more with Willie G, you and me. It's a thing, you know. It's ready to go. And hopefully we can do some more things, you know, in various combinations.
It was fun doing La Bamba too.
Oh, that finale was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
it was amazing because, none of us, we didn't get to rehearse the whole show at any point. It was just, we did one rehearsal with Los Dados and Willie rehearsed in his own. There was no rehearsal for La Bamba, and it just came together and everything just went very smoothly. And by the way, that video is going to be out soon. The Grammy Museum is going to put it on their website any day now. And
okay, good. Yeah, I've been waiting.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I think they're even going to show the
they're going to have the
panel thing too. I hope they show it all. I don't know if they're going to cut it up or show the whole thing, but hey, I'd be happy if they showed the whole thing. Let's see what happens. But I'll post it on Facebook.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
I guess that's it. Is there anything else you want to say about East LA or about anything?
I need to contact some people there, but no. No, I am very happy with the way that life has been given to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grew up in a strict home and whatnot, but I appreciate it now, and while I was on the road with the guys, and of course I had my bodyguard, who was the bass player, Charles Orcita, when I was with Poverty Train in Hawaii and whatnot. If any guys came to talk to me on a break, he'd be standing right there. What do they want? What do they want? They want to go to coffee. No, you can't go to coffee. Okay.
He knows what they're thinking.
Yeah, my mother gave him the word before we took off for the road. This is my only daughter. This is my baby girl.
That's right.
Yeah.
My Mijita.
My Mijita.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
and it just, I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for everything that I've experienced, the musicians I've met, the friends that I've met along the way. They're phenomenal. My family, because I have 3 great kids, RJ, Jackie, Stephen. Jackie and Stephen are twins. And they've been through a lot with me, I have grandkids now. I even have a great grandson, damn it. He's in Texas. He lives in Texas. And, but I'm very thankful. And I appreciate one thing that Willie G told me years ago. I had asked him if he could help me learn how to sing. And he says, no, girl, you can sing. It's just how you interpret what you're singing, how you tell the story. So if I tell the story now and I make you cry, or I make you smile or happy, then I'm doing the right thing. And that's how I feel.
Beautiful. And your voice is still beautiful. You're still singing great. And thank goodness for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time, Mark. I appreciate it.
And thank you for doing this. And see you next time. I'll see you down at your gig.
All right. Oh, cool.
All right. We'll buy some taquitos or something.
And drink a tequila.
No, I don't drink anymore.
Okay.
I hardly ever did drink. But anyway, Thank you very much. And I'll see you soon.
All right, Mark. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.